So let's talk about naming alcohols. Now when it comes to naming alcohols, there are two approaches we can take to naming this compound. One is called functional class naming and the other is substitutive naming. So let's start with the functional class naming first. In the functional class naming, what we're going to do is we're going to assume the alcohol is connected to the first carbon. So since the OH is here, this is carbon number 1. From there, we're going to find the longest carbon chain and we're going to name that carbon chain with a YL ending, so it's an alkyl substitute. So in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is pentyl alcohol. So by doing this type of naming, seeing this pentyl alcohol, this tells us that the alcohol is connected to the first carbon. So this is going to, when we start going backwards and start trying to draw the structure, this is going to tell us we're going to start with drawing a pentyl chain and putting an OH group on it. From there, we need to name the substituents. So in this case, we've got 2 methyl groups, so it's dimethyl. And we've got a chloro. Now, we have 1, 3 dimethyl, 2 chloro. Second carbon position. So 2 chloro, 1, 3 dimethyl pentyl alcohol. This is the functional class naming method. Let's say you want to do it by the substitutive naming class method. Well, there's going to be a difference between these two structures. There's going to be a difference in how we approach it. So with the substitutive, what we're going to do is we're going to find the longest carbon chain like we did before with the alkanes. So, longest chain here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you got a hexa, and we're going to end it with an OL. So that OL here tells us that we're looking at substitutive type naming. Now, there's going to be a difference here than what we've seen for previous examples. So in previous examples, we tried to minimize, when we start naming the substituents on the chain. So we have a methyl here, and a chloro here. We've always tried to minimize the leading number. This is not going to be true if we have an alcohol and alkanes and halogens. In this case, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure the alcohol takes priority because it's the more important functional group. So we're not going to name this in such a way that we minimize the first number. What we're going to do is we're going to make the alcohol the smallest number possible. So we start with this as carbon 1. This makes it a 2-hexanol. If we start the other way, it would be 2, 3, 4, 5. Be 5-OL. So with that as 1, we have 3-chloro, 4-methyl. So in terms of naming or figuring out the first carbon position, you're going to minimize the number on the alcohol position. So this 2 here is where the OH group is. Make this number as small as possible by looking at how you're ordering the carbon chain. And then once you set the ordering of the carbon chain, that's where you'll start naming your groups like you normally would. Now, big way you're going to tell the difference, tell which type you're looking at when you're going the reverse way. If we see the alcohol at the end, we're looking at functional class naming. The first carbon in this pentyl will contain the OH group. In this case, the hexane is the parent carbon chain and the alcohol is on the second position. So these are 2 different ways of naming alcohol.